Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to today's bonus upload. Before we jump on into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because these things, they really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And they definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's bonus upload, shall we? Today's first subscriber, Michigan Dogman Encounter. Good day to you, Jeff. Hope all is well with you and your family. I finally got up the strength to write down my first encounter when I was a teen. I was 14 years old. It was mid-July in 1984. I went with my parents and my sister to our uncle and aunt's house in Greenville, Michigan, where in the back of their property was a state forest. So it was a late Saturday morning. I took my camera and went for a walk in the woods. I used to be a really good photographer, so I used to take pictures of birds and other wildlife. While I was walking through the woods came to an embankment, so I started to walk down this embankment, and off to the right was a 6-foot-high dirt mound. As I continued walking through the woods, I heard footsteps about 20 feet away. I thought, something's following me, but I just brushed it off, so I continued to walk through the woods, where I came to an opening/clearing in the woods, where I started photographing woodpeckers and some sparrows. Then I started walking to the other end of the opening/clearing, and that led to a deeply thick forest, where I started to get lost and came upon a swamp. Then, when I started hearing footsteps again, but this time they were getting closer. That's when I decided to get out of the thick forest and swamp area and try to find my way back. I was gone for almost 2.5 to 3 hours. That's what my dad said when I saw him. But before I saw him, I got to the point where I saw the dirt mound and the embankment, sitting with its head and right hand on the dirt mound was a dogman with yellowish eyes and sharp teeth. Its hand had claws on them. I was trembling in my shoes. That's when I saw my dad, and he yelled, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, but this is after I had soiled myself." Then I looked back to the dirt mound where I had seen the dogman, and like a whisper in the wind, it was gone. I did not hear a sound of the dogman running away or any other movement. For as good of a photographer I was still too scared to take anything. I was lucky that my dad saw me when he did, or I may not have lived another day. It took me all these years to get this one encounter off my chest. Thank you, Jeff, because this channel has helped me overcome my weakness of my first encounter. Because I know there are other people out there like me. God bless and be safe. Same sub, second encounter. Good day to you, Jeff. Hope you and your family are well. A long-time subscriber. I'd just like to tell you about my most recent encounter. This happened 2 years ago, right around August, just when the weather was getting a little cooler out. I live in Michigan. I work in Detroit, Michigan. I work the afternoon shift from 3:30 till 2:30 a.m. or 3 a.m. This day I got out of work at 3 in the morning. I was driving on Connor going towards I-94. There was a black Ford F-150 in front of me when I saw the Ford hit its brakes. That's when I said to myself, "Why are you hitting your brakes? There's nothing in front of you." Then I saw it. Big black furry tail and running on all fours. I said to myself, "That's a big dog," but when I looked closer, it was taller than the 3-foot bike trail markers on the side of the road. It, the Dogman, ran on all fours and stood at least a foot taller than the bike markers. It ran and jumped over a 4 to 5 foot fence with ease. As it jumped over the fence, I got a look at its head shape, like a wolf or German shepherd. There's a golf course nearby where I saw it jump the fence. In all of my life, I never would think I would see such a beast in the city. I hope you share this encounter. It took me a while to type this one out as well. I finally decided to send it. Same sub, final encounter. Good day to you, Jeff. Hope you and your family are doing well. Here is my last encounter I've had. I go camping in my RV. My wife, myself, our 4 dogs, and sometimes my son comes along. We usually camp in the middle of the state of Michigan, close to water. This encounter happened about 2 years ago, September 2018. I usually do not go to bed until 4 in the morning because how my work schedule is. When this encounter happened, I was taking 2 of the 4 dogs for a walk. This was right about 2 in the morning. As we were walking, I noticed that all the wildlife had gotten real quiet. I thought that was odd because my dogs did not bark. Then my dog Bailey, he is a lab and hound mix, started sniffing the air and looking around. Then he made this moan like he wanted to leave. That's when I started looking around by the wood line of the campsite, and then I saw it in the faint distance, a pair of yellowish glowing eyes, about 4 or so feet off the ground. That's when I said to the dogs, "Well, it's time to go back to the RV." So we walked as fast as we could, which seemed to take forever, but was only 10 minutes. I opened the RV door to go inside with the dogs, looked around and made sure whatever it was did not follow us back when I went into the RV as well. When I got up at around 11 in the morning, I went back to the wood line and saw that there was an 8-foot chain link fence separating the campsite from that wood line. This Dogman was on the other side of that fence. That is what I was thinking as I looked into the wood line. I know for a fact that it was not a bear because bears have not come that far south in years. That's why I said it has to be a Dogman. For my 165-pound lab hound mix to moan like a kid made me think that it was a Dogman. If I see any more of these kind of encounters, I will definitely email you again. Stay safe. Today's second subscriber Dogman Michigan encounter. Hey Jeff, I've been getting a lot of requests to share my Dogman encounter, as I've previously shared a shorter version of what happened on Reddit. I don't know how to find my old post and reshare it. So I decided to go ahead and rewrite a more detailed one. My Dogman encounter happened on season opener in November of 2013 in the eastern upper peninsula of Michigan on family hunting property near a town called Cedarville. The house my husband and I were staying in up there had a large front yard, and other than that, cleared area and gravel driveway, everything else was pretty deep hardwood forest. I also want to state ahead of time that this happened around 11 p.m., so everything that's beyond the porch lights was pretty hard to see. My husband had gone outside to have a cigarette. We took our rifles out with us. Whenever we were hanging around outside, because there's bear and stuff back in that area, I was on the porch still, and my husband had gone down the steps into the yard and was facing toward me, when we heard these really heavy, slow footsteps coming up the driveway through the woods. It sounded like a really large man, but there was a weird, heavy breathing as well. And the footsteps, even though they sounded like a person, sounded heavier than anything I had ever heard walking in the woods, including a full-sized adult bear. My husband looked at me and mouthed WTF, and I was trying to figure out what it was that I was hearing, but nothing I had ever heard out there in those woods in my whole life matched the size and breathing and gait of whatever this was. I was confused, shaking my head. My husband is not a hunter and grew up in the city, so he's completely confused as well. I've hunted and tracked basically everything that's indigenous to the northern Michigan since I was small, so I was honestly terrified that this animal was a complete unknown to me by sound. It walked out of the tree line at the edge of the yard behind my husband, and it was a lot taller than he was, at least 7 foot tall or more, and I'd estimate the weight for its size to be around 400 pounds. It was on 2 legs and had super dark black fur that somehow was even darker than the nighttime dark of the woods. It was walking back and forth at that distance from us the whole time this encounter happened, but it would not step into where the perimeter of the porch light was. I had a really hard time making out its torso for that reason, but I saw a wolf-like head and a snout with pointed ears that stuck straight up, and instead of front legs and paws, it had a really disproportionately long arms and hands. It was on 2 legs this whole time, walking back and forth. I freaked out and grabbed my rifle and started shooting at it and yelling at my husband to run and get on the porch. So he did, and then he took his gun from me and told me to find something to use as a weapon and go inside and hide. I did. I got a large knife and went and locked myself in the bedroom in the closet. I could hear my husband shooting, reloading a bunch of times for about 10 minutes. He came in and told me through the closet door that the Dogman had finally run off, but he was not sure if it was going to possibly come back, so we were both pretty terrified. I ended up staying in that closet all night until sunrise with my husband guarding the door with the gun. He told me that he thought I had hit it when I was shooting at first, but the next day we didn't find any blood or hair or anything, which I thought was weird because I really thought I must have shot or wounded it a couple times. It moved incredibly fast, though, and was agile enough to run through the brush and stuff without really mowing it down or making a bunch of noise like big animals usually do running through dense underbrush and stuff. The whole encounter was incredibly weird and scary. My husband also said that he did see it sort of hunch over and drop down onto all fours a few times while it was running back and forth at the edge of the yard. But that when it ran away for good that night, that it was running insanely fast and on 2 legs like a man. We didn't smell anything bad like a lot of people describe when they see these things. And it didn't even leave any noticeable tracks anywhere, even though the thing was so heavy when it was walking on the gravel driveway that I swore the ground near it must have been shaking. We found out later from one of the neighbors that he had seen it as well next door the winter before when it came up on this porch of his cabin and looked in the door window during a party he and his wife had been throwing. He had said he had heard really heavy footsteps on the porch and pulled back the curtain on the window, and the Dogman was standing there on the other side of the glass looking down at him, but that its fur was white then. I think that's possibly because there was snow on the ground still at this point of the year. My neighbor hollered at everyone in the cabin and told them what he had just seen, and everyone decided to make a run for it through the woods to his mom's house next door, since her place was a lot sturdier than a hunting cabin. I've known that neighbor my whole life, practically, since high school, and he would never make something up like that. He was scared, even while he was talking about it. I've also read somewhere online recently that there was a family about 45 miles north of our area that had a bunch of livestock like cows and horses turn up dead and torn up by some kind of large predator, and that one of the guys in the family saw a giant upright wolf back near his hunting blind during deer season, which of course freaked me out since we had our experience on season opener. The land butting up to the family's property is 100 miles of the Hiawatha National Forest, so it would make sense to me that a big animal would hide in or near a protected area like that when it's hearing gunshots everywhere else. My lot and my neighbor's lot also are right alongside state land. My husband and I moved since this all has happened, but the experience was so upsetting to me that I constantly research online to see if anyone else has seen this thing up north and what their encounter was like and stuff. I've even heard that there's a small pack of them, about 4 or 5, that live in the state forest downstate in Isabella County, that a bunch of locals in the nearby area have seen, that somebody even saw one night downtown Saginaw. What scares me about that is the fact that there is no tree cover there. It's all city. I wonder if people all over the state are seeing these animals because they're getting forced out of their usual hunting territories due to the hunting, logging, mining that's really increasing over the years here. Be careful, everyone, when you're going out into the woods. Same sub, different email. Very interesting email, this one. Hey Jeff, I sat down tonight and tried to remember everything my dad had taught me and my siblings relating to the bear walker and wrote a basic description out of memory. My dad passed away back in 2010, and since everything in our Ojibwe culture is taught and passed down orally, I'm unfortunately only as good as my memory now. Yes, you can start feeling senile at 38. So anyway, here goes. The bear walker, or the Makwamosa. I know how to say the word, but not spell it, LOL. Was said to be a bad woman or man who decided to use the medicines and rituals of the Ojibwe in a corrupted way to gain personal power and or to exact revenge or get another native that they were upset at for whatever reason or jealousy of. That person who wanted to become a bear walker would have to perform a blood ritual of some sort by praying and calling on Jai Mandu, our word for the devil that basically means dark or evil spirit, and making an offering of their own soul and life as well as some blood. Not sure, but possibly their own, as well as an offering up something belonging to the intended target, like some of their hair or something like that. If their offering is accepted, then this would call up the spirit of the bear walker, and it would possess them for the rest of their life, giving them immense strength and longevity, as well as the power to cause sickness, misfortune, or death to whomever they wanted, as well as travel disguised as any animal or as a ball of flame. The form of the bear was chosen most often, though. To keep and build this power, the bear walker was expected to take lives and then to take a small piece of the body of their victim and offer it to the Jai Mandu. Some people also say that this could have been done to prevent the victim's spirit from getting revenge on the bear walker who killed them. For this reason, as part of any Ojibwe wake, the body of the deceased is constantly guarded by the family until the burial that occurs at the end of the traditional 4-day Ojibwe mourning ceremony. In the olden days, for added protection, the body would be rolled into a blanket, laid on a platform high off the ground while it was being guarded. In more recent times, however, the body is guarded indoor. I helped with this in an alternating shift with my younger brother during my father's 4-day ceremony after he passed. We believe that it takes a person spirit 4 days, which is a sacred number to us, to travel the spiritual road with our guides on the other side to atone for anything we may have done wrong or anyone we may have hurt during the course of our lives. When that is done, we believe that you are able to then go be with our ancestors and loved ones and the Creator. It's also said that the only way to stop a bear walker is to kill it. There's actually a guy in Canada who was acquitted of murder because he believed that the man he beat to death in his yard During an altercation was a bear walker who was trying to kill him. Locals backed him up because before the guy got killed, he had been bragging around town that he was a bear walker and he was going to kill a bunch of people he had beef with, or possibly even their children, so that they'd really suffer from grief. He got beat to death with a petrified walrus penis. Karma. I don't remember how much more than that, but I do know that locals from my old hometown and the rest of the Upper Peninsula who were interviewed for a book that I told you about had shared their family stories about stuff with bear walkers so that it could be taken seriously as warnings to others. Unfortunately, from what I recall from reading the book, it ended up being marketed as satire or funny mythological stories. I know most of the family names through the Ojibwe who contributed stories from my area and related to some of them, and I know they told these stories as what they consider to be fact. The Ojibwe sense of humor is super dry, but we never joke around about stuff that dark. Everything is shared as a lesson to be learned and passed along to the next listener. Oh yeah, I did manage to find the book on Amazon, so I'm going to send you a link. I think you would enjoy it and learn a lot more about the subject. I hope this helps. If you have any other questions or anything, just hit me up. It's called Blood Stoppers and Bear Walkers is the name of the book. Blood Stoppers, Bear Walkers, Folk Tradition of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I suggest going to Amazon and buying it if you can. It is pretty amazing. Actually, after this subscriber and I had communicated a little bit, she was actually on the channel and told her encounter. I had read a thesis from an Ojibwe, and it was all about, I gotta see if I have it still. It was all about black magic, the bear walker. And I didn't realize what it was until I started reading it. And I had printed it out. It was like 30 or 40 pages long. But it was one of the most amazingly written, kind of documented history, I guess, of Ojibwe medicine and rituals and spirituality. Very cool. Today's third Michigan subscriber Dogman submission. Hey Jeff, I was never into the woods really growing up, but when I started working for a friend, everyone on his crew bow hunted, so I got a bow. This was in 2014, fall, and I shot the bow a lot that winter. And 2015, I went all over Kalamazoo, Cloverdale, Dalton, and Portage, Michigan, hunting for whitetail. The longer I hunted, the more confident I got, and all the while I had never seen DNR officers while hunting at all, but during the summer, they were everywhere for fishing purposes. The morning/night, I had my experience. I got up at 4 in the morning and drove to Gordneck State Park area in Portage, Michigan. And when I was driving to the normal parking they have for the public, I saw a game trail from the road, and I stopped my van and parked on the side of the road and followed it in. After a while, I found the normal path that was built for walking on, so I decided to go to the tree stand I knew of. In southwest Michigan, there is no need to put a stand up on public land because all the good spots already have stands in them. So I'm walking on the path and I see a tree. I'm going to walk up to it. When I grab the first stair, I realize I forgot something and turned back to walk on the path. About 100 feet back down the path, I noticed massive paw prints over the top of mine. A giant pad, 4 large toes, and 4 large claw marks on each side. And it looked like maybe 8 to 15 of them crossed here because of how many and how wide they were. Like 3 to 4 at a time wide. they crossed. I am still not afraid or alarmed because this is Southwest Michigan. We have never had any predators that would bother us. I'm thinking, that's cool, and I'd walk the edge of the path where the prints came from, and nothing, no prints in the woods, so I turned around and followed them across the path to the woods. On the other side, about 10 to 15 feet across, no prints in the woods. The only prints were on the path, like they were in the trees. I was thinking, and about that time my brain started doing the math on how big something would have to be to leave prints larger than my 10.5-inch boot, like a large pizza, and pressed deep into the dirt. I realized I walked through here less than 2 to 3 minutes ago, and all the hair on my body stood up. This all happened in like 10 seconds from when I walked up, saw the tracks, until I knew I had to leave. I knew they were here somewhere. I widened the Energizer headlamp I had on my head, unbuckled my knife on my chest, and nocked an arrow. And I knew in that moment I was not going to survive whatever was going to come for me. I decided I was going to shoot the fastest shot I ever shot into a soft spot, slash with my knife, leaving enough of a mess on the trail so someone could have a clue of what happened to me. I would not be taken into the night without a trace. I just didn't want to be a missing person with no trace, no clues. That was my only goal. I was mostly listening because I couldn't see anything around me. I would step ever so slowly backward, all the while turning my head, listening for rustling of the leaves, because it was fall in Michigan, with leaves still on the ground, some leaves in the trees. My body was on full survival mode, and my senses were insanely in tune with me. I was barely breathing at all, trying to control my breathing so I would hear the attack when it came, but it never came. I creeped backward like that, looking and listening all around the whole way to the road. That was the longest walk of my life. It must have taken over an hour or two to go a quarter of a mile. When I got near the road where I could see my van, I ran down the road back to my van where a DNR officer was waiting for me. I didn't have my hunting license with me, so I showed him my license and drove to my house to meet me. I showed him my license and told him of my experience. He wrote it down on his pad. I mentioned how I had seen so many coyote prints in the area and everywhere else, and how they had gotten so much larger with unlimited food and no predators. And he turned to leave, and when he was walking away, he goes, "Maybe those were coyote prints you saw." I laughed out loud and said it would have to be 1,000 pounds. He got in his truck and said goodbye, waved, and left. I didn't realize it, but I didn't go hunting again in the dark after that, and my hunting died off soon after. And I didn't consciously realize why until I heard Dogman thing while watching Sasquatch Chronicles. The officer was a Native American, and he took my report like I was telling him about a deer I just saw or something. I think he personally knows a lot about these things. He just had this calm, knowing energy about him. I would like to speak to him about whatever he had talked about. I think the only reason he said maybe coyote because I was so clueless to what it could have been, that he thought maybe he could plant that thought and I would go with it and not think something else or look further into it. And I didn't really at the time. That's what's weird. I think I didn't want to know what was out there. For a few years later, I tried to tell myself maybe I possibly dreamed it or got it from something I heard. And my sister goes, "Oh no, you'd been talking about that from way back when it happened. Don't you remember telling me?" I don't remember telling my sister back when it happened. That's weird also. On a slightly different note, near the same area I tried to go hunting for the first time this December, and the weirdest crap happened. I lost time and a camera. I'm still puzzled on this one, and I don't feel like typing right now. I'll tell you later if you want. And today's final Michigan, alphabetically, state by state, Dogman subscriber submission. Hey Jeff, thanks for getting back to me so quickly. Just for a little background, I am a school employee, worship leader, mother of 7 children, married 26 years, live in a small town in northern Michigan, 15 minutes from the Mackinac Bridge. I don't want to bore you with details, so I'm just being brief. I have 2 small grandchildren in my family. They're my life. I'm only trying to keep them protected since I have only started looking at channels involving Dogman and Sasquatch in the last few months. I don't have much knowledge. Here's the story. I live across from a park. It's a baseball/softball diamonds and playground. Literally, there is a road in the front of my house. That is the only thing keeping my yard from being part of the park. Behind the park and all around, it's hundreds of acres of woods. It's public land. There is a path that leads to a river as well. When I'm sitting on my porch, I face the baseball field that has a 2-story concession stand just beyond the field. I tend to sit on my porch all hours of the day and night. Lately, weird things have been happening. I have been seeing eye shine on the 2nd story of the concession stand. I know that sounds weird. The eyes are yellow, golden, and very large. They will appear to be looking straight at me. And then they will move from side to side. I can see when the face turns and then turns back to look at me. This has been happening for weeks. They are not there every night, but more often than not lately. My pit bull has been having odd behavior as well. When the yellow eyes are shining, he will not come outside. If he does, he will have his tail between his legs and act terrified and will not leave the porch. This is very unusual behavior for him. A few nights ago, I saw a set of red eyes and another set of eyes with the yellow eyes. They were both swaying back and forth and turning their heads side to side back at me. I get a very deep sense of dread when the eyes are looking at me. Then I was in my bedroom, which is at the back of the house, with my window open. I heard a whistle that was right outside of my window. I quickly shut the window, but I didn't see anything, and that freaked me out. I've also mentioned this to a few family members, but they're not interested in hearing about it. They think I'm off my rocker, sadly. The thing that concerns me is that my children are still living at home. They come and go at all hours of the night, and they have no fear of what could be out there. I have been learning so much from your channel and believe these creatures exist. I live in a perfect environment for them, and it seems like these things are escalating with the eye shine, and right now next to my window. All right, folks, there you have it. I hope you all enjoyed today's bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.